Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. You watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming today live as we do every single day, noon to 2 Eastern, Monday to Friday, from the Liquid Lunch Outpost in downtown New York City. Right down the street, the New York Stock Exchange is up about 20 today, middling around. Bitcoin up a lot at 10,200. Lots of great things happening. Not the least of it. We're joined today by seasoned Republican strategist, political operative, Joe Kovac. Joe, hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Really appreciate it.
Nice pen, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got plenty of them. You know, sometimes people come in, they want them, they ask me to take it with them. I got to give them away, so I need a rotating supply of Trump pens.
I can understand why.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, Joe, it's a great week or two here for the Republicans. Obviously, you're a seasoned Republican and operative and other things, but. You know, the impeachment's over. The Democrats can't count their votes in the first caucus there. Now Trump's, did a victory lap. Many people are saying that, he's being vindictive by getting rid of people. I think he's having a great week by showing strength once again, and that's what people love about him.
Absolutely, John. I think that the president and the Republican Party has had a tremendous week and a half. Even going back to a week ago in Iowa, I think that it's an embarrassment that the Board of Elections and the Democratic Party in Iowa can't count 200,000 votes. I was joking with a friend of mine. I think that the person besides the president that was the happiest last Wednesday morning was Mike Ryan, the Board of Elections commissioner, because he gets heat all the time for how New York City is inept at times with voting and with the whole change of the voting machines.
I think, Joe, Trump was probably the happiest guy. And maybe number two was Joe Biden, because lost in the muddle of everything that happened there, Joe Biden basically came in last of all the front runners.
Sure. Well, if I was running Joe Biden's campaign, I would be running for the hills, because Joe Biden has no path. If you take a look at today's polls that we have from New Hampshire, I don't see Biden finishing probably in the top three, and he probably will finish fifth.
That's how it looks. Now, Joe, going in the Wayback Machine here, you did an interview with my partner, Frank.
Yes.
And I want to play a little bit of that interview here. And I want you to comment on it. Give me your observations. Okay, they're giving me the stretch signal, which means we don't have it ready. I'm sorry about that, Joe. We'll get to it. Give me your observations. I mean, it looks like a total cluster mess so far on the Dem side. Me and Frankie are talking about that the establishment is looking for like either Mike Bloomberg to be the savior or Mayor Pete to be the savior.
Well, I think that when you take a look at it, Bernie Sanders will probably do very well today. He'll probably win New Hampshire. He won New Hampshire 4 years ago. It's from a neighboring state. After today, I think that the most interesting part to see is how poorly Elizabeth Warren does and how poorly Joe Biden does. What does that do for their campaigns? Represent different wings of the party. What I think would be interesting is how Pete Buttigieg does, because I think that more people would be willing to rally around him than Mayor Bloomberg, simply because of Mayor Bloomberg's past.
So, yeah, many are saying that Mayor Pete's going to have some problems in the South with minority voters. I guess we'll take a look at that. But now we do have this clip of you and Frankie that I want you to check out.
Would probably want to run against Elizabeth Warren,
really,
or Bernie Sanders,
because they're the most extreme.
Yes.
I tell you, I know everyone's. And who do you think is the candidate that Trump would have the toughest time beating?
I think Buttigieg.
Buttigieg, really?
Yes.
I think you might be right about that.
So at some point, you said you thought it would be Bernie or Warren, but the most difficult would be Mayor Pete.
Sure.
You stand by that still?
I do, simply because, until Mike Bloomberg entered the race, I think that Bernie Sanders has a core group of supporters that would be with him to the end. Even in 2016, when he lost the rigged primary against Hillary, 1 in 10 of his supporters voted for Trump. So to me, that's a very, very big issue. The other thing is that I mentioned it before. I think that Mike Bloomberg is spending a lot of money, but with the way that the Democratic Party is right now, I don't think that they are taking to billionaires and spending unlimited resources of money to sway their votes. It will help somewhat, but I don't see Bloomberg.
Asked of him, so he's really being, I used to be into boxing pretty heavily, and sometimes when they have these fighters they're trying to develop, they take them like out of the big cities to Tennessee and Wyoming, and they have a few fights against what they call tomato cans, right? They nurse them to a 10-0 record. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what they're doing with Bloomberg here. He's throwing tons of money at it, and they're nursing him to a place, and behind the scenes, they're mucking the waters up.
Absolutely. I think that it's very important to control the narrative. Donald Trump did that in 2016 all of the time. I think that they ran a brilliant campaign in how they targeted where he was going to go, how often he was going to speak, who was he going to interview with. They're doing the same thing with Mike Bloomberg, but I think that with the way that the Democratic Party has shifted so far to the left, I don't see how that benefits him and how that helps him.
Yeah, I think. Do we have SOT 1 there? There are some people, including a guy we have on the show often. His name is Walker Bragman. He's quite the progressive. He's a big Bernie fan. But he and a group of others are being sure to get some stuff out there on Bloomberg. And I think this is going to be a major problem for Mike Bloomberg when he hits the South and the minorities, was his stance on stop and frisk. And he's changed supposedly now. But take a look at this clip that hit social media and tell me what you think its effects will be.
5% of your murderers and murder victims fit in one MO. You can just take the description, Xerox it, and pass it out to all the cops. They are male minorities, 15 to 25. That's true in New York. It's true in virtually every city. And that's where the real crime is. You've got to get the guns out of the hands of the people that get killed. So you want to spend the money, put a lot of cops in the street, put those cops where the crime is, which means in minority neighborhoods. So it's one of the unintended consequences is people say, oh my God, you are arresting kids for marijuana that are all minorities. Yes, that's true. Why? Because we put all the cops in the minority neighborhoods. Yes, that's true. Why we do it? Because that's where all the crime is. And the way you get the guns out of the kids' hands is to throw them against the wall and frisk them. And then they say, oh, I don't want that, I don't want to get caught, so they don't bring the gun. They still have a gun, but they leave it at home.
So, Joey, I don't know how he's going to square that up with the minorities around the whole country when what I took out of that, the key line I took out of that is we put all the cops in the minority neighborhoods because that's where all the crime is. So that's his stance. He said it. How does that help him or hurt him? I think it kills him.
I think that it hurts him tremendously, and I don't know how his team would spin this. So, whenever we're talking about campaigns and elected officials and policies, if you change your policy, you need to change your policy for a reason. And there's a lot of trouble that he's going to have with the African American and Latino vote because of those statements. It's similar to how...
How would you spin it? You're a top-notch operative. How would you spin this story? He just said all murderers are the same. 95% of them are minorities between 16 and 25. And we put all the cops in the minority neighborhoods because that's the only place the crime is. How would you spin that? Give me the Kovac spin zone.
The Kovac spin zone on this one, that would take a lot of time to really develop.
That's what I'm thinking.
A way to do it, only because he already came out saying that he was against stop and frisk, and then he apologized, and then this video surfaced. And the comments in the video go beyond just the policy. It's just
It goes to the
don't even
mindset
believe.
of the men.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think this could be a deal killer with the minorities, if you ask me. And every day, Trump's trying to broaden his message to the minorities. So there's a big skirmish out there, words versus actions. Man of action, Joe Kovac joins us, seasoned Republican operative. Joe, I want to thank you for joining us for a liquid lunch today. You were great.
Thank you,
You're
John.
great for being right there, but don't go anywhere. We're coming back right after this with social critic and commentator heard weekly on Morano in the mornings, Martavius Roberts joins us right after this.